With all eyes on the Birds' newest wide receiver, Philadelphia's back at practice this week and already implementing some new changes, including demoting one cornerback while promoting the fan favorite. Plus, what Zach Baun's return means for Jihaad Campbell and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and if Howie's trade for John Metchie is a simple low-risk move or the beginning of something much, much bigger. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. The final week of Philadelphia's preseason started out with a bang, as Howie surprised literally the entire league with a move for yet another wide receiver, starting what was an insane 48 hours of speculation as to why a wide receiver deep team like Philadelphia would need yet another wide receiver, although I think I might have figured out why. But of course, while all this was going on with the front office, the Birds themselves were back on the practice field this Monday for their first fully padded practice work following a very disappointing preseason loss to the Cleveland Browns, and who was starting at cornerback has drawn a lot of attention. Also, I have not heard from the ticket winners that was announced on Sunday's show, which was Constitution 650. Constitution, you have a week to let me know that you want the tickets and have claimed them. Link down below in my description box. All the details are down there. If I don't hear from you, I will redraw. As far as the member-only giveaway of the Philly Dogs signed gear, that's going to be announced at the end of today's video, so stay tuned to see if you won. Now, of course, the big concern looming over Philadelphia today is not how John Metchie is going to fit in the Birds offense, although we will get to that, but instead the continued revolving door at the cornerback 2 spot, which, according to Vic Fangio, still didn't have a clear leader as of Monday morning.
Not yet. I think all the guys are pretty even right now. And Jakorian just got here, got a full week last week. Need to give him a full opportunity with the other guys.
Are you disappointed at all that no one has just run away with that job?
Well, not really. I mean, they're close, Usually it does become pretty obvious to everybody as to who's going to win the job. That hadn't happened yet. I think they all have done a good job in and of their own way. Had good moments, not so good moments. So we haven't reached that conclusion yet.
Personally, I thought Jakorian Bennett was still the best cornerback on the field versus Cleveland a couple of days ago, so maybe he'll start to get some first-team practice reps, but then shortly after Fangio's press conference, the first-team corner was once again Adoree Jackson, leaving multiple beat writers to note that they'd guess Jackson will be the starter of Philadelphia, play the Cowboys, say tomorrow. We're still a few weeks away from Philadelphia actually hosting Dallas, but it does feel like this week especially is a pivotal week for the cornerback 2 battle. And Philadelphia was already making changes at cornerback this week at their first practice because after Adoree Jackson, who ran with the ones, was subbed out, it was not Kelee Ringo and it was not Jakorian Bennett, the second guy up. It was actually Mac McWilliams, who Vic Fangio said is very much in play to start and win the cornerback 2 job.
They've been great, man. Just me being a versatile guy, I feel like me moving outside was one of the coaches' decisions, and they felt like I needed to be there at the moment while we're practicing right now. So I'm just taking everything in, getting my reps and making sure I focus on the criteria of just being a DB,
For me, it's still a long shot, but nice to see that the Eagles rookie is making some headway. But as far as Kelee Ringo goes, he actually failed to record a single first-team rep in the entire Monday practice, running with the 2s and the 3s, and what's a possible indication that he's now out of the CB1 battle, with Bennett and Mac McWilliams pulling slightly ahead. All in all, though, I'm still leaning towards Adoree Jackson and then Jakorian Bennett right now, with the latter simply still trying to learn the ropes after only becoming a Philadelphia Eagle, 2 weeks ago. Again, he had a much better performance than anyone else this past Saturday, and maybe with more time, he can emerge as the true starter opposite Q.
I'd be lying if I said it was easy, but I would say that they do a good job with helping me acclimate, I feel like I'm a pro for a reason. Like, I'm going to come in and do the things the right way. I'm just going to continue to keep chopping because I know all you can do is just take it day by day. Rome wasn't built in a day, so I know it's going to be a process, but, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm just going to continue stacking.
Also, massive shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Incogni. Incogni protects your personal data from data broker databases that collect and sell your information. Data brokers can store details like your name, home address, phone number, email, and even information about your family or financial habits. And they sell this to advertisers, telemarketers, and sometimes worse. But Incogni takes care of all of this by contacting these brokers for you, requesting removal of your data, and following up until it's gone. What would take you hours of research and dozens of emails is handled automatically. All you gotta do is sign up and then allow Incogni to act on your behalf. They'll take care of the rest. And they'll give you updates all along the way so you can watch your data disappear from data broker lists. And right now, use my code MOTTSHOW to get 60% off Incogni, so you protect your privacy by clicking the link down below in my description box today. Now, all this cornerback speculation has led some to wonder if Cooper DeJean deserves more time on the outside during practice because A, he has played outside cornerback at times in college, and B, as we mentioned, nobody clearly wants to run away with the starting job. So honestly, why not? And well, our wish was Vic Fangio's command as he confirmed before practice on Monday that DeJean would get some outside reps with the ones.
You mentioned at the beginning of camp that we'd see Cooper DeJean at outside cornerback. We have not seen that yet. Why is that?
I watched today's practice.
Is it coming?
He'll be out there a little bit.
Is he competition on the outside as well?
What's that?
Mac McWilliams part of the competition?
He is. Yes, he is.
And what do you know? He didn't lie. Cooper, sure thing, lined up against Devontae Smith for a few reps on the outside with the ones and, by our reports, held his own. Now, of course, to be clear, it was limited reps for Cooper DeJean on the outside. He's not going to start versus the Dallas Cowboys as the other outside cornerback opposite Quinyon Mitchell. What Vic Fangio is clearly doing here is that he's making sure he has a contingency plan in case Bennett, Adoree Jackson, Kelee Ringo, Mac McWilliams, none of them work out halfway through the season. They're going to rotate through all of those guys until they figure out who's the official starter. But if none of them actually work out, then DeJean is kind of the emergency option right now. And so you at least got to get him some reps, but he's not starting week 1. Right now, I think the true base defense is Quinyon and Adoree on the outside, with Reed and Drew Mukuba, interesting there at safety, and Cooper DeJean in the nickel. And by the way, yes, it does seem like Drew Mukuba's turnover-heavy performance versus the Browns on Saturday has helped his case to potentially win the starting job. So he continued to get first-team reps, mixed in, though, with Sidney Brown at Monday's practice. Moving over to some other interesting notes, and how about Zach Baun finally returning to team drills on Monday, lining up as the starting linebacker alongside Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Jihaad Campbell. A very welcome sight, as the All-Pro has slowly been working back to the field all training camp long, following this minor back contusion that really didn't make any sense. And Baun's DC thinks that his presence on the field is really going to help not only Jihaad Campbell, but Jeremiah Trotter Jr. feel even more comfortable at the inside linebacker spot going forward.
Yeah, he's been getting better and better each and every week. Like I say, he still has his hiccups, but I do think he's getting better and better and better. And, you know, Baun's going to practice some today for the first time in a long time. You know, and he'll get in there some with Baun. Trotter will also. So that will settle him down, too, a little bit, hopefully.
As far as the injury report went this week, and Kenyon Green actually back for the first time in a limited role. Good to see. Lane Johnson, though, he was limited but set out with rest. Everyone else, though, who we thought would be on the field was, and the rest of the injured guys have been that way for the past couple of days, so overall, a good sign. Well, a good sign for everyone except A.J. Brown, who, what do you know, once again did not practice with that hamstring injury, making it now 18 days since A.J. Brown has completed a full training camp practice. And beat writers are trying to drop some careful hints right now, pointing out that we should not expect to see A.J. Brown on the field for the remainder of the preseason. And honestly, it's a little bit concerning, but as of right now, we have no other choice than to believe the bevy of reports coming out of Philadelphia that A.J. Brown is fine, it's all precautionary, he will play week 1, and yet, with A.J. Brown's injury and now the John Metchie trade, it has made me wonder a little bit about the current state of the actual hamstring. Which of course leads me to the actual John Metchie trade, now over 48 hours ago. My first thought instantly was, is A.J. Brown's hamstring okay? But after doing some thinking, I don't think that was the reason. I mean, listen, it could be the case, but Philadelphia really seems to like the young receiver core already on this roster. Obviously, including Jahan Dotson, who has said time and time again that he's night and day better heading into year 2 in this system. And also, by the way, had a great practice to start the week, beating Cooper DeJean twice and Quinyon Mitchell once on multiple routes. Plus, obviously, don't forget about the preseason Game 1 superstar in Darius Cooper, who, by the way, cooked Kelee Ringo on back-to-back plays with the twos during Monday's practice. Need I say more? If Philadelphia does need wide receiver depth, then A.J. Brown is going to miss some games. Why not just trust the guys you've been working with all offseason long instead of bringing in fresh meat just, 1 or 2 weeks before week 1? So personally, I think the least likely reason why Philadelphia traded for John Metchie is because of A.J. Brown's injury, and so it's a possibility, but the lowest on my list. So why did Philadelphia make a move for a wide receiver with all the promise in the world coming out of college, obviously dealing with the wild leukemia situation, beating that, returning to the field, and then not really showcasing much the past 2 seasons? Well, what about trade bait? I've seen a ton of wild rumors all over the internet that Philadelphia simply was trading for John Metchie because they have another much bigger trade in plan, and I've thought about it, and it's just a little bit hard to believe. And listen, I know Jordan Schultz did tweet this a couple of days ago saying, quote, text from an AFC GM, don't think Eagles are done with trades. There's so many picks next year, and that team is always going to be aggressive, but with that being said, I can't figure out who Philadelphia would actually trade for. Like, okay, let's just assume Jahan Dotson is at the center of all this, hence why Howie traded for a wide receiver. But if you wanted to go with, say, Trey Hendrickson, for instance, who reportedly is finally officially, wink wink, being shot by the Bengals this week, but he has an asking price of a first-round draft pick plus 1 to 2 starter-level players in exchange. And so the idea that the Bengals want Jahan Dotson when they already have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, plus Howie giving up another player on top of Dotson and a first-round draft pick and $40 million a year, Trey Hendrickson, he's never been in play, and this move by Philadelphia on Sunday does not get him anywhere closer to being a bird. The only real trade ideas I could come up with is Jahan Dotson and a pick for some sort of corner. Obviously a need for Philadelphia. What about Cleveland's Denzel Ward, since the Browns were just in Philly for joint practices, and obviously Howie has a relationship with the Browns GM Andrew Berry? This makes some sense. I would personally take Denzel Ward in a heartbeat, but do you think Cleveland wants to get rid of a 28-year-old top 5 cornerback in the league on a very team-friendly contract signed through 2027? I don't think so. The other name that I can throw out is Seattle cornerback Tariq Woolen as kind of a real option, mainly due to the fact that he's unsigned entering his final year, what is a very cheap rookie contract. But then again, when the Birds have just traded for Woolen a couple of weeks ago instead of trading for Jakorian Bennett, honestly, I've racked my brain about who Philadelphia could be gearing up to go ahead and get. And I just can't think of somebody. So unless Howie has some closet undercover deal that was going to shock all of us and go get some excellent cornerback or I guess any other player, it's not Micah Parsons, by the way. That is not happening. Do not comment that. I just don't see it happening, which means that the most likely outcome or the most likely reason for trading for John Metchie was the actual reason all along. Philadelphia loved Metchie coming out of college, and obviously he's BFFs with Devontae Smith because the two played together at Alabama. Houston lost one of their tight ends to an ACL injury this past week, so maybe they just called the Birds and asked about their bevy of tight ends and decided to throw in Metchie. We have to remember that as great as we think Metchie is, he had just 24 catches and 1 touchdown in 2024 without the Texans having tanked out. By no means a superstar player at his current level, but Philadelphia can clearly hope that he turns into one, and this seems to clearly just simply be a low-risk, high-reward move by Howie Roseman. And if you're wondering why the Texans would give up John Metchie, well, again, he hasn't produced much, but they also love this young guy they have in Jaden Higgins. He's the Nico Collins 2.0, according to all the beat writers I've been reading the past couple of days, and so it really feels like Philadelphia knew they needed a tight end, picked up the phone and said, would you guys give us John Metchie for virtually nothing? And Houston said yes, and here we are. Now, moving back to training camp, and just really briefly here, remember how last week Jalen Hurts reportedly struggled in joint practices versus the Browns? And I told you it was literally just 2 bad days, don't panic, and yet some people did. Well, what do you know? Monday's practice, very sharp throwing 2 touchdowns, and as we mentioned, finding Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert, and how about tight end 3, I guess now, Kylen Granson on multiple solid completions. My hope was all along that Cleveland's impressive practices versus the Birds last week kind of woke up Philadelphia, especially on offense, and that was at least the case on Monday, which is a very good sign with Week 1 fast approaching. Now, I do think this week is going to be very pivotal for Philadelphia, not just for if they make another trade, but get John Metchie in the building, see what you have in him, figure out which receivers are going to be cut because somebody's going to be the odd man out, and also the cornerback spot. Does Jakorian Bennett get first-team reps? Is it simply Adoree Jackson? Do they trade for someone? I don't think so. But either way, this is a very important week as Philadelphia essentially is putting all of their manpower into getting ready for the Dallas Cowboys, and we'll update you guys here as things continue to progress. Now, I mentioned my second 100K subscriber giveaway that is the signed Philly Dogs helmet or jersey, your choice, and I randomly selected a member of the channel. Big shout out to all my members out there to win that. It was actually Cranky Cletus. So shout out to Cranky Cletus for winning the either helmet or jersey, your choice. Go down below, shoot me an email, prove it to you, tell me what you want, send me your address. I'll get that sent out to you guys as soon as possible. And also the final giveaway, which is just a normal Eagle jersey, one of your choice. That's going to happen later on this week, so stay tuned for that. I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out here. Going to be back in my studio for the next show. I travel home tomorrow or today, depending on when you watch this show. Final one here, my dad's office. Shout out to him. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been Thomas Mott Show.